So I think there's nothing wrong with being maximalist, with liking having a lot of things. I think that's perfectly fine. It's how you acquire these things that's important in terms of sustainability. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gitte Mary and today is an anti-haul video. Specifically one about home decor, interior, etc. Because the week I'm filming this video, I am getting the keys to my apartment. And the week after that, I will be moving the first bits of furniture into that apartment. As such, even though I have everything I need to move into this apartment, I don't need to buy any new things. But I am inspired to arrange my furniture in another way. I am researching, I love interior decor and I love arranging my furniture and I love making a house feel like a home, so to speak. So because of this move, I have been looking at decor and interior a lot more than I have. That's not really true. I'm looking at it all the time and constantly, if we're being totally honest here. But in my research for how my apartment is going to look, I've stumbled upon many a trend, many a product, and some of them pretty wasteful, not gonna lie. Overall, we can also talk about the discourse of interior decor and how sort of the furniture industry is starting to look more and more like fast fashion, to the degree that I actually made a video about fast furniture, sort of like an addition to fast fashion. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave that down below. But for now, let's talk about products I definitely won't be buying. First of all, we are starting out sort of with the DIY aspect. This is something I've seen a lot happen on TikTok, and it's laminating or painting hardwood floors or stone surfaces. This gives me such an ick. And I guess it's because I have this like deep, profound love for real good materials. I love the look of hardwood floors. I love the look of a good, like a solid stone surface. It's beautiful. And I think laminating it or putting paint on top to sort of mimic trends that we're seeing and popular styles and colors and like taking that into your home, I think that is an awful way of doing it. Mainly because it can actually damage the materials underneath, and the materials are so beautiful in and of itself. I feel like it's just a shame and a little bit wasteful to put materials on top of that. I would much rather put on a table cover or have a vase or do something that doesn't damage the materials that are good quality. Does that make sense? Anyway, we are anti-hauling laminate on top of hardwood floors and paint on top of stone surfaces. Next up, we have something I've seen on trend quite a lot, and it doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. Can you really call it a trend then? I don't know. IKEA just launched a new home decor collection and it's also included in there. And it's just something I've seen, and I follow a lot of interior decor profiles on TikTok especially. And a lot of them are showcasing these really thin glass products. This really thin and delicate glassware. And although it's beautiful, I think it's awesome to look at. I am anti-hauling it because those things are just not made to last. They are made for sort of a gimmicky, beautiful effect, and that's perfectly fine. I just know, personally, and this might depend on what kind of person you are, but to me personally, it would be really wasteful to buy something I am 100% certain I will break. There is a reason why I drink the majority of my beverages out of mason jars. It's because I break everything else. So this clumsy, messy girl is anti-hauling really thin glassware because personally I will break it, and I'm also pretty sure a lot of other people would. And we're seeing this very thin, delicate glassware a lot of places right now. But if you have a lifestyle as well where you might be prone to breaking these things, don't buy it, buy something more sturdy. I know it looks really beautiful, but is it practical? Does it work with everyday life? Or does it simply work for an Instagram picture? Those are some of the questions that I'm asking myself over and over. Like, this looks beautiful in a feed and for content. It's just so impractical for everyday life where it's going in the dishwasher or you're washing it or you're having people help you out or you're moving things around and breaks. I'm anti-hauling really thin glassware. The main reason being I would personally break them. Now for something else that is very trend related and something we're seeing very much so right now. And first of all, I would like to preface this by saying I love that the 70s feel kind of in right now. And for me personally, that's never gonna stop. I love the 70s, and I was talking to one of my friends recently about sort of this trend of the 70s and the 70s vibes and colors and shapes becoming more in style. And we were talking about whether or not we personally like it, or whether or not we're just being influenced by this trend. However, it is very possible to be inspired by a trend and use that trend sort of to articulate a certain preference for something that you can hold on to long after the trend is over, so to speak. And for me, the 70s colors, like the burnt oranges, the squiggles, in some extent is definitely a part of that. I love the way that looks and I feel so comfortable in it. But there are many products that are using sort of this squiggle. I have squiggles on my wall, jokes on me. These squiggle patterns or shapes are present in so many products that are making them very statement-like, and I just have a feeling that is not always going to feel in and or feel coherent with everyone's preferences, everyone that's buying it right now. So one thing is buying like a vase that's squiggly because you can give that away, you can donate it, you can use it for something else. But a lot of statement pieces that are really big, like big pieces of furniture, also now come in these like squiggle shapes, and while again it's beautiful, I have a feeling that a lot of people are buying them because they're super trendy right now, because we're seeing them all the time. And I have a feeling that in a couple of years it might seem really off in a lot of people's homes, and as such they're going to be discarded. And a couple of years for big pieces of furniture is not a very long time. So I think when it comes to trends that are very out there, like the squiggles, ask yourself, is this something I would like for many years? Or is this something I'm just seeing over and over right now, which makes me want to like it? For me personally, there are certain aspects of the squiggle that I absolutely love. I love it on my wall. I think it's beautiful, but also paint is not the worst in contrast to a couch or a dining table. But a lot of the home decor items and the interior items that are squiggly right now, I am anti-holding, because I just have a feeling that they are being mass produced right now because we're seeing an influx in the 70s aesthetic, and it's going to go out of style, and a lot of people will be buying them that might not like them in a year, 2 years, and that's simply not long enough for furniture. Anyway, I think it's very obvious at this point that we're very trend related. This is very trend based, but that's because with fast furniture, we are seeing the trends that we saw in fast fashion, like the influx of new trends over and over. We're seeing that in the furniture industry as well. We're seeing that in interior decor and home decor, which is a big problem because it means consumers will be buying a lot of products that feel good right now, and then something new will come along, a new aesthetic will be introduced. And it honestly pisses me off a little bit. Homes should be personal and not affected by trends. I mean, and they have always been affected by trends, because anything that has to do with style and expression and visual identity will have, like, it will come in and out of trend, obviously, but I think it's something to be conscious of. And one thing that I recently saw, I think it was in the New York Times, they were talking about maximalism, and maximalism now being on trend. And it's something I've definitely noticed a lot, especially with a lot of home decor brands and a lot of the content that I'm seeing. And I think there are many perfectly nice ways of being sustainable and maximalist. Look at my life. I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist, not even in the slightest sense, no way in hell. I am absolutely more leaning towards maximalism. I have a bunch of shit. However, when maximalism becomes a trend, you will see a lot of maximalist knickknacks and pieces of furniture and home decor being mass produced to fit into that certain style, so everyone can partake in the maximalist trend. And I think that means that a lot of consumers are acquiring a lot of knickknacks to be maximalist that have no meaning. That also just, again, mass-produced, horribly made by people in sweatshops, no regard for the environment. All the same shit as when we buy trend pieces from fast fashion. Again, there are a million ways to be maximalist and sustainable by acquiring things over longer periods of time, by acquiring vintage things, pre-loved, secondhand, by making things yourself. But it takes time to build a maximalist household or a maximalist aesthetic, because you have to acquire different things with different meanings, and going out to 1 or 2 stores and buying everything to have that maximalist look. And now I'm talking from my own personal view, but to me that would feel incredibly empty, because all of a sudden you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of decor items that feel maximalist, that look it, but you have no personal attachment to any of these things, which means that they will most likely at some point be discarded again when a new trend becomes current. So I'm anti-hauling the maximalist trend. Now, the next one, I might end up sounding like an ass, and that's okay. But I'm anti-hauling sculptural candles, meaning that a couple of years ago, I started noticing some Etsy sellers making these beautifully like sculpted candles. I have one that's a butt. I have one that's a pair of boobs, and I think it's amazing. I got them from an Etsy seller that uses sustainable materials and that makes them in her house. And there are a couple of sellers that started making these candles, these like sculpted, or I guess they're made in molds, but you know the ones, because now they're everywhere. And a lot of the big fast furniture / fast fashion, because let's be honest, those two overlap quite a lot at this point, like H&M Home, are also coming out with these candles, and they're not made with the same sustainable materials. They are not made ethically. People are not getting paid proper wages to make these things. You're not making some Etsy seller incredibly happy by buying their products. So now I'm actually anti-hauling them, because we're seeing them everywhere, and I think personally, if we like the look of these sculpted candles, which I get because they're beautiful, get them from an original seller, someone who makes them in their home, someone who has a small business, rather than going out and buying them from these fast furniture companies. It's just no. And also low-key, I think the ones that are made by the small businesses, I think their molds seem a lot prettier. They're a lot more beautiful. And the ones I've seen from especially like H&M, etc., Zara Home, I don't know, the ones, the works, they aren't as nice. They aren't as nice, but they're jumping on this trend incredibly quickly. And as such, I also think they are going to, like in the main scheme of things, they will go out of style again, which I think is bullshit. If you like it, do it, but buy them from a small business. The next one is such a pet peeve. It has actually always been a pet peeve of mine, but furniture sets, I am anti-hauling right away. And there are 2 main reasons for this. The first reason, let's be honest, is the visual of a furniture set. I think it looks bad. I think it looks like unrefined, and I don't like it. I don't think it feels cozy or homey or personal. But the second thing is, when we're buying furniture sets, we're going out into one store and getting everything that we need and putting it into a room, and then that's it. Completely deprived of personality. What I like to do instead is acquiring pieces again over longer periods of time, or finding things in a thrift shop here, finding things in a vintage shop there, and putting it together. You can still have the set idea, like things that match together, without them being completely identical or made by the same brand in the same factory on the same day. These sets sort of inspire consumers to buy everything in one place, and usually that place is like a furniture store or IKEA. This is like half sustainability points and half I just really don't like the look of this thing. But it's my video, I get to decide. Next up is a type of furniture that I have seen on my feed for the last year or so, maybe more. I've seen it quite a lot, and it always strikes me as incredibly impractical. And it is these fluffy pieces of furniture. We have them sort of like chairs and couches and sofas. We see quite a lot of fluffy fabric covered furniture, and I think this deserves an anti-haul, in the sense that, once again, it looks beautiful when no one has ever sat in it ever. When it's new, it's nice, but over time with the wear, you're gonna sit your bum on this fluffy material and it's gonna flatten down, and it also probably will end up like being slightly discolored from that. The wear and tear of fluffy things, I just cannot help but think that this is going to look so bad in a home where people use it. And pieces of furniture that's created specifically not to be used is not it. Next up is something that I ended up putting on this list because while I was researching a little bit for this video, I stumbled upon an article about what's in and what's out in terms of home decor. And one thing that struck me here was that a lot of the things when we talk about trends is not just, oh, this type of color or this vase or sort of this shape of rug, but it's like permanent or semi-permanent alterations to your home that is suddenly in or out, which is not only incredibly unsustainable, like that's just an awful mindset to have when it comes to your home. So I saw an article that read grout is out, sort of saying that tiles are now not cool anymore, tiles with grout. And we saw like the subway tiles everywhere. And I actually think it looks really nice and it's easy to keep clean. And I think it looks really cool. Suddenly grout is out and tiles is not the way to go, specifically tiles with grout, but now we need like whole pieces of marble and whole pieces of tile, no grout. And that's what's cool now. And that mentality, can we anti-haul that mentality that semi-permanent or definitely permanent things in your home cannot go in and out of trend? I just think that was so thoroughly out of touch with how people decorate. I don't like any kind of trend lingo, but I get it a little bit when it comes to smaller decor items. Like, I get why that happens. With bigger things like, oh, this type of roof on your house is not cool anymore, change it up. I think it's out of touch. I think it's made by people that just need something to write about, and then they come up with these things. I don't think it's real, except for the fact that when consumers then consume that content, it becomes real. I am anti-hauling this entire type of lingo about permanent alterations in your home suddenly not being cool anymore. The type of floors or the type of ceilings you have or the type of tiles you have, I think it's a wild thing to wonder. And now that we're sort of on the subject of tiles, I would also like to completely and utterly anti-haul marble. Now, I have seen a lot of cool marble things in thrift shops because white marble was really the rage in like the late 80s, 90s. I see so much of it, and I don't know how it is everywhere in the world, but in Denmark you can always find like white marble, like things for your table, things for your kitchen, and like napkin holders, all that kind of thing. You can find it and it's fine to use. But when big pieces of completely undisturbed marble becomes a trend, we'll end up seeing an influx in demand for marble. And marble is a natural resource. It's something that's created naturally. And in order to obtain the product, you have to excavate it. And that comes with a huge impact on the planet, on natural habitat, on biodiversity. Usually dynamite is used to obtain the marble from its naturally occurring areas. And having something that has that big of an impact in its production and its supply chain be a trend that can go in or out of style, I think is thoroughly unsustainable. If you like the look of marble, please research where your supplier is getting their marble from. There are more sustainable ways of doing it and there are better practices than others. Don't just get it from anywhere, and don't just get it because it's in style. If you want a big piece of marble in your kitchen or in your bathroom, make sure you want it for life. And lastly, and I might end up attracting some negativity on this last one, but I'm also anti-hauling the trend of having too many plants in your home. I love having plants. I love making plants from new plants, and I dumpster dive a lot of my plants as well. I love plants. I think they make me so happy, but there has been a trend or a tendency for a lot of people online when they do decor content to just, because it's sort of on trend to be a little bit like a green girl and have a lot of plants in your home, to just buy all these plants in whatever shop and then put them into pots and vases and then that's it. Don't buy a lot of plants that you cannot take care of, because these plants are grown in greenhouses and those greenhouses have quite a big carbon footprint. As such, buying completely like full grown plants actually have a big impact. So make sure if you buy plants that you're actually able to take care of them, and research what plants you're buying to make sure that they are ideal for the environment you're bringing them into. Simply just going on a rampage and buying tons of plants is a really wasteful way of going about it, because chances are those plants are not fitted for the environment and you don't know how to take care of them properly. And then they will die and then you'll have to do it all over again. So that mentality of simply just buying a lot of green plants for the sake of the aesthetic and not knowing how to take care of them, that mentality I'm also anti-hauling. I hope that you guys like this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any trends, mentality, sort of ways of consuming products, brands, etc. that you are anti-hauling. Let me know and we can rage together. That's overall my goal in life, for this community to be angry together. Yay. And I will be back really soon with a lot of interior decor moving into my new apartment content. I'll also be making a moving vlog, so you will be able to see that as well. But in the meantime, please consider subscribing to this channel. That would make my day. And also have a really amazing day and take really good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!